Welcome back to the Pink Zebra ongoing consultant training program. This week marks the halfway point in the first 12 weeks in your Pink Zebra business. You should be feeling more and more confident as a consultant and with your party presentation. You've learned a lot since we first started together, and there's a lot more to come. Take a few moments this week and celebrate your success to this point in your Pink Zebra business. We talked about the shopping portion of your parties during video number 3 in the new consultant training portion of this training, and you should have watched that during the first week that you started your business. This time, I want to go deeper into this subject and give you some more simple, specific tools that you can use at the end of your party to increase booking, sponsoring, and sales results. Let's start by talking about sales and how you can increase the sales average of your parties. One of the best tools for doing this is commonly referred to as upselling. This concept is very powerful, and you experience it as a consumer every single day. I'll give you an example. Every time I check out at my grocery store, their ATM machine automatically asks me to add a few dollars to my bottom line that day to contribute to the charity of choice for that month for the store. Now, one of my personal philosophies is to always give when I'm asked. And so they're upselling me every single time I go through that grocery store. And believe me, I have 2 teenage boys, so it adds up fairly quickly. I'm in there 2 or 3 times a week. And generally, I bet you I donate anywhere from $30 to $50 a month simply because they are taking the time to ask me for the sale and suggesting something that I might want to contribute to as I check out. My question to you is this. Are you asking? Not only for the sale, but for the opportunity for your guests to add relevant products to their order that will enhance their lives. If the answer is no, then you're depriving them of a really important opportunity. It's actually a really simple process. Let's go over the finer points of upselling.
So let's talk about some simple steps to upselling. Remember that you're really keeping your guests' best interest in mind by doing this, so it's a win-win for both of you. First of all, you want to offer add-ons that make sense. So make sure you're offering relevant products to your customers as additional suggestions based on whatever they are currently ordering or whatever might be on their wish list. If you're offering products that really aren't obviously related to each other or don't make sense, it can really kind of fall flat and it won't probably work. Next, you want to make sure that you are the expert. So position yourself as the expert as you make recommendations on related items. That really does let your customers see that you really know what you're talking about and what might work for them. So I would not only tell them what you recommend, but tell them why. And it's always really a great idea to reference other customers who've purchased that and maybe offer testimonials in a really light way about why these products work together, why other customers have chosen to buy them. And then finally, make sure you're using their wish list. This is really crucial. That list is a gold mine because it tells you what their tastes are and what they like, so you can make an educated recommendation regarding other items that they might want to consider. So that's the reason that we've talked in the past trainings about getting that wish list filled out, making sure that they're using it so that it becomes a great tool for you at the end of the evening.
Let's move on to bookings and how you increase this vital area of your party at the end of the evening. You've already got several tools that you can use for getting bookings, but I'd like to teach you a few more here.
So next, let's talk about how you share the bookings that you have available in a visual way that's going to get people excited about choosing one of those dates. What you're looking at here is what I call a booking tree, and this is one way that you can do it. It's actually just a photo stand that has several different spikes that come up from the base that is generally meant to actually put photos on, but you can actually use it for your party date cards. You want to actually casually introduce something like this as soon as you finish your booking commercial during the party. It's a great way to show them the dates that you're available using those party date cards. You can also just fan the cards out. You can put them in a basket. There are other ways to do that. I just really like the way that the booking tree grabs their attention. You're going to find handouts for these simple party date cards on the ZebraNet website. These are a simple form that you print out, cut out, and then attach to index cards just like it shows in this picture. And that gives your guests the exact dates in the next month or so that you're available to do parties. Now, having a visual way to show these party date cards is a really intentional way to offer those dates and your parties a lot of times will seem to book themselves, especially at the end of your party experience, when you can simply direct an interested guest to look for the preferred date on your booking tree or whatever means you're using to display those cards. I even attached small, inexpensive gifts, and I used the dollar store. I'd find anklets or something really inexpensive there, and I'd attach those to the cards as what I called instant booking gifts, and that got them excited about booking. If the items that you're wanting to use are too big, you can actually put them in a gift bag, so you can actually just let them know that when they choose one of the dates off your booking tree or they choose one of your party date cards, they get to pick one of the instant booking gifts out of the gift bag. It's that simple.
Now, this concept works great if someone's ready to book right there on the spot. But what about those people who walk out of your party really not sure? They aren't ready to say yes, but they also haven't said no. I call those people fence sitters, and they represent a very large area of untapped opportunity for you. The bottom line is, if you're letting someone walk out of your party saying they'll think about booking a party, your chances of actually getting that booking, being able to reach them when you follow up and getting them to book really are low. And I got tired of hearing people complain about the fact that when they followed up, they never could reach those fence sitters. So I want to share a tool with you that will help you convert up to 70% of those fence sitters after the fact, because they're not going to walk out of your party empty-handed anymore. You want fence sitters to walk out of your party thinking about potentially booking a party with you. You also want to make sure that they take your call when you call them so that you have a chance to sort through their objections and help them agree to saying yes to a booking. That's where my Think About It packets came in. Now, these evolved for me because I had the idea originally that I wanted to make sure that they walked out the door with something. But when I asked them if they said they weren't sure, would you be willing to take home one of my hostess packets? Many times the answer was no, because they logically thought, if I take home one of these packets, she's going to expect me to book, and I'm really not sure I want to do that. So I had to find a way to get them to take my host packet, but not really feel like there was going to be any pressure or I was going to leverage them when I called them back. And so what I did was I changed the name of my host packet to a Think About It packet. The bottom line is, it was exactly the same thing. Sometimes I'd put my Think About It packets in green envelopes so that they looked a little bit different, but really, truly, the contents was exactly the same because my intention when I followed up with them was to book that party so that they had that host packet in their hands and we could get started with them learning how to have a successful party right away. They were the exact same thing, but I found people were much more willing to take my Think About It packets because they weren't concerned that I was going to try to leverage them. Especially once I gave them 3 very specific rules that I had for my Think About It packet, and I asked them to play along with me. I want to share those with you now.
The setup for these Think About It packets is very important. You have to make sure that your guests know exactly how they work in order for them to be effective. So let's go through the setup first, and then I'll share with you the 3 rules that I gave my guests before they took my packets. First of all, ask them if they'd be willing to take home a packet. So if someone's on the fence and they're saying, I'm not really sure, the question is, hey, would you be willing to take home one of my Think About It packets? Chances are good, and almost every time I ask that question, the person would say, well, I don't know, what's the Think About It packet? And then you would just explain, you know what, it's just a packet of information to give you more information so that you can make a decision about whether or not booking a party is right for you. So first of all, ask them to take it home. And then let them know that you would like to follow up with them in a couple days once they've had a chance to look through the packet, and set up a clear day and date and time to follow up with them. That's really important, and you want to make sure that they're going to be available and that you know the number to call where they'll be waiting for your call. And then let them know that you just have 3 really simple rules for your packet. And then you're going to go through those and let me tell you what those are. Rule number 1. You have to actually think about it. And this is a little bit of a joke. I'd say, you have to actually think about it. So take 5 minutes, go through the contents of the package, and just think about what you're learning and if it might be something that you're interested in doing. So that's rule number 1. Rule number 2, you have to take my call at the time we've agreed upon. So this is a good time for you, it's a good time for me, and you have to take my call. I don't want to hear you in the background going, tell her I'm not home. It's really important that you agree to talk to me at the time we've agreed to. And then the 3rd rule is simple. If you decide you don't want to book a party, all you have to do is just let me down easy. It's very simple. So those are my 3 rules, and I will tell you that I rarely ever had anybody not take that packet, because those 3 rules are very straightforward, and the last one gives them permission to say no. I've basically told them, look, if you decide you don't want to do it, that's okay with me. You have to make sure that you lay out these rules for them really clearly.
Here's the beauty about this. They've got your host packet, so when you call to follow up, if they say yes, they have everything they need to become one of your hosts. If they say no, they don't think they want to do this, they already have the host packet anyway, and oftentimes it's really easy to talk them into doing a catalog party instead. Here's the best part. Because you've already given them permission to tell you no with one of the 3 rules that you share, they're going to take your call because they're not worried about feeling uncomfortable if the answer ends up being no. This idea alone could literally double your bookings, so I highly encourage you to implement this from the very beginning. Finally, I want to talk briefly about sponsoring at the end of your party. Now, I'm going to be covering some much more specific tools for sponsoring in a later training, but today I want to just talk about how you can use that guest care card that I trained on a few weeks ago to increase the sponsoring results at the end of your party.
The referral section at the end of this card is a gold mine for you. And if you're doing all the other things I'm teaching you to do, and your guests are having a great experience at your party, and they like you, they'll be glad to refer others who could benefit from your opportunity. Make sure you're checking this section at the end of the party, and if somebody has filled it out, make just a really simple request. Ask them to call their friend and let them know they've met you and that they think that you would be someone that they might want to visit with about your opportunity. And then this is really important, get permission to share their phone number with you. And then ask them to let you know or send you that number once they've done that. That way, that eliminates that whole cold call from you, and it makes it a lot easier to follow up with that referral because they're expecting your call and they're waiting to hear from you. As you finish up that evening with your host, there are several things that you're going to want to do with this guest care card. First, the question, if your host were starting her business, would you book a party to support her, at the bottom of this card is an awesome opportunity for you to show your host how easy it might be for her to get bookings. We talked about this in the earlier training. A lot of times her friends will agree to book a party to support her when they might not book one with you. So again, you want to say to that host, "Hey, Sue, look here, there are 3 people who'd rather book a party with you than with me. What are we going to do?" You can also share with her that the bookings that you got that evening belong to her. I always told my host I considered those bookings hers, not mine, because they were her friends. You can tell her that you'll take them if she's not interested in doing them and if she doesn't want to start her business, but you just need to let her know that you consider those bookings hers. And then share with her why you think she'd be great at this. And if she still says no, make sure she knows she can keep considering this and let you know if she ever changes her mind. And then the second thing you can do with these guest care cards is spread them out and ask your host who would be really good at what you do. And she's going to identify at least 1 and possibly more people that you can follow up with. And then when you do that, you're able to say, "Hi, Sue, this is Julie, and the other night at the end of her party, Mary told me that she thought you'd be great at what I do and I should call you. So that's what I'm doing." It makes it really easy to have that conversation and to open that conversation because 9 times out of 10, the person you're calling is going to say, "Really? She said that about me?" So it's actually a great tool for you to use.
We covered a lot of information this week. Let's look at your action steps so that you can implement everything that you've learned. So first of all, you're going to put together your party date cards and find a way to display them, whether that's one of those photo holders that I talked about and called a booking tree or a basket that you put the cards in, but find a way to display those cards so that it's easy to direct your guests to choose one of your available party dates. And then script out the language for your Think About It packets. What is it that you're going to actually say to communicate how you use these packets, to ask your guests to take one home, and then the 3 rules that go along with the packet. And again, go back and listen to what I've shared. You're welcome to use that language. Just make sure that you script it out and that you practice it so that you feel comfortable with it. And then finally, script out the language for asking for a referral. And remember, we talked about the fact that you want to ask that person to make the phone call ahead of time and set up that person that they're referring so they're expecting to hear from you. So script that out and practice that as well. It's very important that you make a plan for when you'll do the action steps from this week right away. Take out your calendar and schedule time on your calendar right now to make sure that you get this homework completed before you receive the training for next week, when we're going to be talking about follow-up and working with your hosts. I'm looking forward to seeing you then.